The stars were calm that night in the deep silence of space. The human ship Odyssey Prime moved slowly across the dark sky, its silver body shining against the cold light of distant suns. Inside, the crew worked quietly. It was supposed to be a simple mission, just a patrol. No one expected danger. Captain Mira Hayes stood on the command deck watching the radar screen. Everything seemed normal, until it wasn't. A sudden static noise broke the silence. Then another. The signals from nearby ships started to vanish one by one. "Report," she ordered. "No response from our scouts, Captain," said the officer. "They just disappeared." Before anyone could react, the lights flickered. Outside the window, shadows appeared, massive, dark shapes forming out of nowhere. The crew froze. "Unknown ships detected," shouted the sensor officer. Moments later, the aliens attacked. Blinding beams of plasma cut through the darkness. The first blast hit the Odyssey's left wing, tearing through metal and fire. The ship shook violently. Crew members screamed, alarms blared, and sparks rained from the ceiling. "Shields are failing. Main engines offline." Captain Mira tried to stay calm. "All hands prepare to evacuate. Send a distress signal to Earth Command." But the signal never went out. The communication system was already destroyed. The alien ships circled the dying Odyssey like wolves around their prey. One final explosion ripped through the center of the ship. Mira looked at her crew one last time and whispered, "If anyone survives, humanity is not done yet." The Odyssey Prime exploded, scattering burning pieces across the void. Far away, one escape pod drifted silently toward a lonely moon, carrying humanity's last hope. The escape pod drifted through the cold dark for days. Inside, a small group of survivors sat in silence. The walls shook with every small impact from space debris. The only sound was the hum of the failing engines and the soft breathing of tired humans. Among them was Commander Arlen Voss, the chief engineer of the destroyed Odyssey Prime. His face was covered with dust and smoke, but his eyes still burned with purpose. Beside him sat Lieutenant Kara Lee, the youngest pilot on board, her hands gripping a cracked helmet. "We're not dead yet," Arlen whispered, breaking the silence. "As long as we breathe, they haven't won." The pod finally crashed onto a cold moon. The survivors stumbled out weak but alive. They built a small camp, using the broken pieces of their pod for shelter. Nights were freezing and days were silent except for the strange whispers of wind across the rocks. On the third night, a weak signal reached them from Earth Command. "This is Earth Command. We received your distress message. Hold your position. Rescue is coming." Tears filled Kara's eyes. But Arlen wasn't crying. He was staring at the dark sky where the Odyssey had died. "They destroyed our ship," he said slowly, "but they also showed us what we need to become." That night, by the light of a small fire, Arlen began to draw on a piece of metal. Rough lines, sharp shapes, engines the size of cities. "This won't be a ship," he said. "It'll be a monster." The survivors looked at each other in silence. The plan for Project Leviathan had just been born, and this time, humanity would not be the hunted. Months passed since the survivors were rescued from the cold moon. Commander Arlen Voss and his team were taken to Mars Orbital Station, where Earth Command had one question for them. What do we build next? Arlen didn't hesitate. A ship that can't be destroyed. A ship that will make the aliens remember humanity forever. And so Project Leviathan began. Massive shipyards came alive above Mars. Sparks danced in zero gravity as machines and humans worked side by side. Every piece of metal carried a memory of loss. Every screw a promise of revenge. The best scientists, engineers, and pilots from every colony joined together. The Leviathan was not just built. It was forged. Its armor was made from alien wreckage fused with human alloys. Its engines burned brighter than any human design before. At the heart of it, a new artificial intelligence was born. Aura, smart, loyal, and fiercely protective of her creators. Day after day, the ship grew. It stretched longer than any city on Earth, glowing red and silver under the light of the Martian sun. Workers whispered whenever they saw it, "This ship isn't human, it's something greater." Arlen walked along the unfinished bridge watching the crew. "This ship," he said softly, "is built from our pain. And from pain comes strength." Then one night, alarms echoed through the station. "Unidentified signal detected," shouted a voice. "It's not human." Arlen turned to the observation window. Far in the distance, the stars flickered. like shadows moving through space. The aliens were back, and the Leviathan was not yet ready. The warning sirens echoed through Mars orbit. Red lights flashed across the shipyard as engineers and soldiers ran to their stations. The message was clear. The enemy had returned. Commander Arlen Voss stood on the half-built bridge of the Leviathan, staring at the distant stars. Out there, small red dots began to appear on the radar. 1, 2, 10, then dozens. The alien fleet was moving fast, faster than before. "How many ships?" he asked quietly. "Too many," the officer replied. "They're heading straight for Mars." Earth Command ordered all stations to prepare defenses, but fear filled every corner of the base. The Leviathan was still incomplete, its shields only half ready, its main weapon not yet tested. Admiral Reeves appeared on the holoscreen. "Arlen, you can't launch that ship." "It's not finished." Arlen's voice was calm. "Neither were we when they attacked us last time." He turned to his crew. "Get the engines online, now." Engineers hesitated. "Sir, it could explode." "Then let it explode in their faces," Arlen said coldly. Outside, the alien ships entered Mars orbit, firing plasma bolts that tore through defense satellites. The sky turned red with fire. The Leviathan shook under the impact, its outer hull glowing like molten steel. Aura, the ship's AI, came online for the first time. "Commander," she said, her voice calm and human-like. "I am ready." Arlen took a deep breath and gave his first command. "Then let's show them what humanity builds when it's broken." Engines roared. The Leviathan lifted from the docks, fire bursting from its thrusters. The monster had awakened, unfinished, untested, but alive. The Leviathan roared into the red sky of Mars, engines blazing like suns. Alarms screamed, and the metal hull trembled under pressure. But Commander Arlen Voss didn't slow down. Behind him, the half-finished shipyard burned. Before him, the alien fleet waited, dozens of dark ships, each one glowing with deadly blue light. Ura's calm voice filled the bridge. "Enemy fleet in range, Commander." Arlen nodded. "Then let's begin." The Leviathan's first rail cannon charged. A deep hum shook the entire ship. Then, with a flash brighter than lightning, a massive bolt of plasma ripped across space. It struck an alien cruiser dead center. The explosion lit up Mars orbit like a sunrise. "Direct hit," shouted Kara Lee. They didn't even see it coming, but victory was short. The aliens fired back, a wave of plasma storms that slammed into the Leviathan's side. Alarms blared again. Sparks flew across the control deck. Aura reported calmly. "Shields at 40%. Hull breach in Section 7. "Seal it," Arlen ordered. "We're not stopping." The Leviathan turned sharply, moving faster than any human ship ever had. It fired again and again, each shot echoing through space like thunder. But for every enemy destroyed, 2 more appeared. Kara looked at the radar, voice trembling. "There are too many, sir." Arlen's eyes narrowed. "Then we make every shot count." The alien mothership emerged from the darkness, massive, black, and alive with glowing veins of energy. It dwarfed the Leviathan. Arlen stood firm. "Target the core." "All power to weapons," Aura's voice dropped to a whisper. "This will overload the main cannon." "I know," Arlen said. "Fire anyway." The rail cannon lit once more, bright enough to blind gods. The light from the Leviathan's cannon burned across the stars. The alien mothership staggered, its shields cracking like glass. But the shot had drained almost all the Leviathan's power. The ship went dark for a moment. Engines silent, lights fading, crew holding their breath. Smoke filled the bridge. Sparks danced across broken panels. Commander Arlen Voss wiped blood from his face. "Report," he said weakly. Ura's voice was calm but faint. "Main power offline. Weapons cooling. Enemy mothership still functional." Through the cracked window, the crew watched as the alien giant turned toward them again. Its core began to glow, charging for a final strike. Kara's voice broke the silence. "Sir, we can't take another hit." Arlen stood, his voice steady. "We don't need to. We'll end this now." He opened the control panel, typing a final command. Aura paused. "You're activating the Nova drive. That will destroy us too." Arlen smiled faintly. "Then we go together. For every ship they destroyed, for every life they took." The ship's engines roared once more, brighter than any sun. The Leviathan dived straight toward the alien mothership, fire trailing behind like a comet. Inside, the crew watched in silence. There was no fear, only pride. "Humanity," Arlen whispered. never surrenders. The Leviathan's core ignited. A blinding white light filled space, swallowing both ships. The explosion was silent but endless, a wave of pure energy that erased the enemy fleet in seconds. When the light faded, nothing remained but drifting metal and glowing dust. Days later, Earth Command received one final transmission from Aura. The Leviathan stands no more, but humanity stands forever. The screen went dark, and across the stars a legend was born.